welcome to Phoenix Behavioral Health's Therapy Chat. I'm Dr. Parks, and this is Christine Delorier, who is joining us. Today we're going to talk about two important factors that are related to mental health, mental well-being. And those two factors are exercise and nutrition. In fact, today we're going to just devote our session to exercise and its benefits on mental health. And next session we'll be focusing on nutrition. So exercise, of course, has lots of benefits on the physical body, but when we talk about the mind-body connection, there is so much of an impact when someone has a regular activity, a regular exercise program. And that doesn't mean it's over the top. It could be, you know, ACSM guidelines, the American College of Sports Medicine guidelines say, 20 to 30 minutes most days of the week. So it's not a lot, and it doesn't have to be all in one lump. If you're busy, if you can't manage to put aside a half an hour, you can do 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night, or even 10-minute segments. But the benefits, there are quite a few. Some of them that we're going to mention straight away are relaxation, stress relief, memory improvement is a big one. We get kind of more clarity, we're able to think a little bit more clearly in a more relaxed way, sleep better, boosting of overall mood. One of the things I think probably a lot of people might be aware of is when we talk about endorphins, and often we talk about the runner's high. But in general, most exercise will give us that feeling of just well-being, overall well-being, because of those chemical changes of endorphins and serotonin. So of course, improving sleep, that's excellent, that's great. A lot of us don't perhaps sleep that well, or we don't have enough, and it's not even as much the quantity of sleep, but the quality of sleep. And a regular exercise program typically promotes a much better sleep. Memory. It's been found, a lot of research has found that there is clear memory improvement. Exercise and depression. Do you have anything to say about the impacts of exercise on depression?
Yeah, I think a lot of mental health focuses on the neck up. And I think therapists in general and mental health clinicians forget that it's the whole body. And as you mentioned, the mind-body connection, it's very important. And how we use our bodies can affect our brain. One of the things that often happens to people with depression is they can't get out of bed, and it's very debilitating. And I tell people the bed is not your friend, and the one thing that you absolutely need to do is move. And when I say move, I don't mean you have to, go down and run around the block outside. That's too much for people that are severely depressed, but just getting out of the bed and getting down the stairs, maybe into the shower, you feel better, you're moving a little bit, you get downstairs, you're moving about. That just gets you going, and it gets the body functioning, and it gets you up and moving forward, versus just when you're in bed, you lose all track of time, you get off with your eating and sleeping. Even something as simple as a 12-minute walk will alter your metabolism, and it will help with your heart and your lung function, and also your brain. And as you said, it increases cognition and memory. So just something very simple it doesn't have to be anything major. Just a 12-minute walk will alter your metabolism enough that it will help offset feelings, biochemical feelings of depression.
Yeah, in fact, there was a study that was run by the Harvard Chan School of Public Health that found that 15 minutes not a lot, 15 minutes of daily exercise reduced the risk of major depression by, I think it was 26%. So it makes a big difference, you know. And like you said, you know, if you can't get out to walk, just in general moving the body, and that could be dancing, stretching, light calisthenics, swimming.
And on that, what you just said, they found that playing music before you work out it floods the brain with dopamine,
Yeah.
and it helps you to feel better, so that you are more motivated to work out, and that may help you, you know, do that, because obviously we all get in our ruts where we don't want to work out, but just playing the music will offset the dopamine in the brain and will help you to move forward.
Yeah. And it has the same impact on anxiety. You know, ideally, when we're talking about benefits of exercise, I mean, all kinds of exercise can be very beneficial. We probably want to bring our focus a little bit more to, you know, cardiovascular, which is the walking, swimming, running, dancing. Anything that gets the heart rate up a little bit has a more of a direct impact on the cardiovascular system, oxygenation of the blood, the brain, and that a change in chemistry that we had talked about with the endorphins and the change in that serotonin and dopamine.
The brain sometimes works against you in expending energy. The brain will try to, you know, I guess it goes back to, you know, the times of flight and survival and way back, where it tells you to conserve your energy. So sort of biologically, there's a baseline for our brains to kind of make us not expand the energy, and so we have to work a little bit against that.
Also, you know, when often when I work with people with mostly with depression, the feeling is, like you said, I don't want to get out of bed, I don't even want to go and exercise. So how do I integrate regular exercise into my day-to-day lifestyle? And sometimes, you know, if depression is at that point where it's kind of immobilizing, we try to take a step back and say, you know, what are some things that we know are incompatible with inactivity? And one of those is activity. You know, we define something that person might, at least in the past, have enjoyed doing, you know, and then we'll kind of put it on the agenda. And the idea is, whether I actually feel like doing it or not, it's something that's on my list to do, and I do it because I know that it's healthy and positive. So on my schedule for today at 10 o'clock is to go out for a walk for 15 minutes, whether I feel like it or not. And so often that you're kind of going around to the back door, because when the person's actually done it, they'll say, oh, I feel so much better, I'm glad I did it. You know? And then we're talking about stress too, stress management. Often, besides the mental effects of stress, where a person may feel their mind's racing, or they may feel they can't think straight, they're foggy, the body carries stress in that tension. You know, it might be tension in the neck, shoulders, and the body in general, the tightness. So exercise can help us just kind of relax that tension, which, you know, can result sometimes when there's too much tension in aching muscles, joint pain, migraines, headaches. So when we have an exercise program where we can just relax and de-stress, that has a direct impact both on mind and body.
Yeah, it can help also if you're having a panic attack.
Yeah.
A lot of times, if people can get up and move around, or even if they have to leave the room, you know, just the act of moving can interrupt the panic attack and can lessen the severity of it. Sitting there sort of immobilized, it makes it much worse. But if you can get up and sort of shake it off a little bit, it definitely helps.
Yeah. And we can multiply the effects of this 15-20 minute exercise by also bringing mindfulness into the equation that we have talked about before, but really being present in the moment. I think one session we talked about mindful walking, mindful running, but including all of the senses in the activity. So as I'm walking along, I'm either visually, I'm looking at, noticing things around me, or I'm listening to the sounds around me, or I'm feeling the sun or the wind on me. So bringing that component to it can really enhance the effects. Otherwise, I could be going for a walk and getting some good effects from that. But if I'm walking and I'm still worrying about something, although I get the positive effects, they're somewhat limited, right? So if I can bring the mindfulness component as well, so my mind and body are here in the moment, that's a big plus. Exercise in ADD or ADHD, that has been shown through a lot of research that the symptoms of ADHD can really be greatly reduced with a regular exercise program. Concentration can be improved, motivation, memory, and of course mood enhancement as well. What about PTSD and trauma? There's a lot of research that shows that regular exercise, and typically exercise that's very rhythmic, such as walking or swimming, or something like yoga or Tai Chi, can be extremely helpful for assisting someone go through the steps of processing and healing from PTSD or trauma. And that's because the nervous system, when someone experiences trauma, whether it's a one-time trauma or a chronic trauma, becomes immobilized, stuck. And so with exercise, we're becoming unstuck. We're moving under our own volition. And that kind of translates to that part of the brain too. So as far as becoming unstuck and becoming more empowered, that can be very, very powerful. Okay, so there are other benefits as well. And so we can see this with graphic one, the benefits, other benefits of exercise on mental health. Well, one, better, clearer thinking, right, and memory. Memory is enhanced. So the endorphins that create that sense of well-being also help with concentration and brain focus. Also, it's been linked to healthier aging and prevention in things like Alzheimer's and decline of cognitive function. Higher self-esteem. You're kind of making this investment in yourself, in your physical well-being and in your mental well-being, and often that translates into just a sense of generally feeling better about yourself, your achievement, and more confident. Really helps in regulating sleep patterns. We don't want to do something that's too exciting to the nervous system, i.e. we don't want to exercise too late at night if it's heavy exercise, but in the evening, something like a gentle yoga or flexibility stretching can be really relaxing.
And the reverse can be true too. In the mornings, you
Yeah.
know, if you do some exercise, even maybe a little more strenuous, it can help get rid of the anxiety or the tension that you may have for the upcoming day.
Yes.
And help to elevate your mood to get you through the day.
Yeah, and although, you know, people will say, well, if I'm so tired now, I don't have time to exercise, and if I exercise, I'll be completely exhausted. It has the opposite effect. You actually become more energized, you know. And more resilience, because you are helping your immune system. You're giving your immune system a boost, which is going to help you manage stress as well. And it doesn't need to be a lot. Like we said earlier, you know, you don't need to be at the gym for an hour, 2 hours every night, or even every other night. Often, you know, people are surprised that just a small amount, 20 minutes, has a big impact. And in fact, you can go to the other end of the spectrum where you're doing so much exercise because you're thinking, oh, well, the more I do, the better. And then that's opening you up for overstressing the body, and you see things like sprains and strains and, you know, really uncomfortable muscle aches and pains. So it's just a relatively small amount of time, and like we said earlier too, to get the benefits, like you can kind of segment that into 3 10-minute sessions, 2 15-minute sessions. The idea is to create a habit and to be consistent with that habit, so fitting it in to whatever works best for you. And sometimes it's being creative. You know, I don't have to have a gym at home. I don't have to have a gym membership. If I'm at work and I'm at work for long hours, I could take the stairs instead of the elevator. I can park a little further away. It only takes a few minutes to do 10 push-ups or sit-ups, but I can integrate those into even a very busy day. But we always can identify obstacles or potential obstacles to exercise, and that's what our next graphic is going to talk about. So even though we know that there are a lot of health benefits, we can still, you know, see that, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to be exhausted, and then I have to go to work, right? Or I'm feeling overwhelmed, or it's too painful. So feeling exhausted, feeling tired, in the beginning, yes, you may feel more tired, but then that is repaid by creating a much healthier, deeper sleep. And earlier we'd said it's not the quantity as much as the quality, you know. So if I'm sleeping and it's very disturbed and I'm in bed for 8.5 hours versus 7 hours of really good sleep, I'm going to definitely feel the benefits. And the other thing is start small. Like if I don't exercise at all, 5 minutes is better than nothing. So I think, you know, we see this in at the new year. In January, people haven't been exercising, and they go and they take out a membership, and then they put in an hour or an hour and a half almost every day for a few weeks, and then they're so tired that they stop doing it. You know, so start slowly. Right? And again, sometimes the idea of adding something more to a very busy schedule, you can feel that it's just undoable. I can't add that. But if you think of the pros and the cons, and there's so many more benefits to doing that, to integrate in that, and making time in the schedule. Sometimes when you look at your day, even though it may feel really busy, when you step back and look at it, you can see, well, yeah, I do have, you know, I may do this for half an hour, but perhaps 20 minutes that's done and leaves me 5 minutes to do something or 10 minutes to do something.
I mean, even on your lunch hour at work. I mean,
Yeah.
people sometimes don't have enough time to maybe do an exercise program before work, or they're too tired after work. You know, if you have a lunch hour and it takes you, say, 15 minutes to eat lunch, that leaves you a good 30 to 45 minutes of free time. Take a walk outside.
Right.
Even if it's only for 20 minutes, walk around your building a couple of times, walk down the road, get some fresh air. You don't have to you don't have to be gone for 4 or 5 miles. Just do a couple of laps. That'll invigorate you. It'll give you some fresh air. It'll probably help you to refocus for the afternoon. And then you come back inside, and even just doing something as simple as that can be the beginning of sort of taking care of yourself and helping yourself to make some positive choices.
Starting small, like we said, scheduling workouts when your energy is highest. It may be that, I say, okay, the only time I have to do this is at 7 o'clock at night, but then I'm too tired to do it. Perhaps I have much higher energy at, I don't know, in the morning as soon as I wake up, or in the middle of the day. Try and get the bulk or the more challenging part of my exercise, whatever that might be, into those times, Again, when we talked about the time that we exercise, time of day, sometimes we're so busy that we put in that, 30 or 45 minutes of aerobic activity at 9 o'clock at night, then we can't sleep. So it's important if you're going to do something at night that it's calming as well, and just try and it's actually well worth it to try and get up 20-30 minutes earlier just to get that in, and get those benefits. And try to find activities you enjoy, bring creativity to it too. Sometimes we can get stuck into the norm, this is what normally most people will do. So it's important to really find something that I personally enjoy and like to do. Very importantly too, is to reward yourself for making that effort. I mean, although there's a lot of reward anyway in terms of physical and mental and emotional benefits, when it's the new habit that you're trying to make, it's not easy. So putting something around that. So when I've done my exercise, I'm going to, I don't know, it could be anything. If I love to read, I'm going to read a few chapters of my book or do this or that, but make it a positive, rewarding activity as well. And it's actually surprising how much you can do if you can't go out. There's really never an excuse. You can put the music on and clean the house. Or you can create something where it's I'm going to start to do push-ups if I've never done push-ups before, or dancing, or being creative is probably the most important part of it, and making it your workout. So that there's a difference at the end of the day whether I add a few more minutes to do some good deep breathing exercises and walking or jogging or swimming or whatever. At the end of the day and at the end of the week, that all adds up, and you start to see that big difference. So everything that you do is significant, right? Being active with the family, if you have children, or if you have pets as well.
Walk the dog.
Yeah. Go hiking.
Put on a YouTube video with yoga and just, do the exercises on the video.
Yeah. Sometimes you can get these very short but really good workouts. You may say, oh, I have 15 minutes free. Here's a 10-minute ab workout, or here's a something that I can do. And for people who, we already talked about one of the reasons perhaps people might not want to exercise is the pain element, and a little bit of soreness or pain is normal. But if it's more than that, talking with your doctor to make sure that you're cleared and there's no joint issues or any other issues, making sure that you have clearance to start an exercise program is always a good idea. Making sure, if you're new to exercise, that you are doing it correctly. You might want to take a class with someone to make sure that you're not overdoing it. You have the correct form. And sometimes just signing up for a class, an exercise class that you've never taken before. I'll give that a try. I've never done that. A Zumba class, I've never done that before. And so that can be fun as well. And now it can become, for those who want that, a more social activity as well. You're seeing other people. You're part of a walking club or bird watching club or hiking club. And really, when you start to look at it like that, the possibilities are limitless. So thank you for joining us today. And if you would like to offer any comments, or you have any suggestions or questions, you can contact us at 508-623-3931 or at phoenixinfo.online. Take care, and we look forward to meeting with you next week. Thank you.